When 22-month-old Zamora Foe was rushed to the hospital and died, her father and grandmother were devastated. Then came the stunning news that the little girl's mother and her mother's boyfriend are now facing charges related to her death. Look at her. Precious. Precious, precious. Investigators say not only did Nathaniel Davis beat her so badly that he broke both of her legs and one of her arms, but they also say the toddler was sexually abused. Now, her mother, Zayla Goodwin, is charged with aggravated manslaughter. So not only is her family grieving the violent loss of this little girl, but, they're also having to navigate the justice system, court hearings, the legal jargon that comes up, and trying to understand how the process of getting justice for Zamora actually works. That is how the Justice Coalition helps. Robert Bracewell is the executive director, and he's joining us this morning along with board member Foster Coker. Good morning. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
Glad to do it.
Robert, may I start with you?
Absolutely.
How has the Justice Coalition helped Zamora's family?
Through the court system, we go to court with them. We've helped them with processes. We've helped them navigate what their rights are. We meet with prosecutors and we meet with them, and we've had a vigil for them. We helped them with resources that weren't available otherwise, and so just continuing to be there for them and help them with the processes and the services that we provide. So.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about those services because you mentioned resources as well. Can you kind of list all the, because Justice Coalition, when I've for years I covered the courts. Right? And I was in those cases. And there was always someone from the Justice Coalition sitting there holding the hand of the family members, just trying to help them get through what they were going through. Can you explain a little bit about the resources? Because I don't think anybody realizes that more than just that mental health part of it, but also that you can connect them.
Okay, well, we connect them first with victims' compensation is one of them through the state. If there's a need for financial assistance because of the crime, then the state helps out with that. We help them with immediate crisis intervention. In this case, where we meet with the family and we gather and we form a plan of action of what their resources and what referrals they may need for counseling, etc. We help them through the court system, as I explained, accompanying them through the court system and being there for them when they can't be there as well, to make sure they're aware of everything that's happening, and of course informing them of their rights.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because me sitting in and I've interviewed a lot of attorneys over the years. I can kind of understand what's going on, but sometimes it can be very confusing. Foster, let me bring you into this conversation because not only are you a board member, but you understand this process because you were also a crime victim. Will you share a little bit what happened to you and how that led you to Justice Coalition?
In 2014, my wife and I were the targets of an armed home invasion. And we were forced to defend our lives with our own firearms. And that resulted in the attacker that broke into our home that morning being shot dead. But there were several other people involved in the crime, getaway driver, assistant at the back door, and someone involved in the planning. So the thing did not end, obviously, with the dead guy on the living room floor. It just went on and on and on. And the first thing we did was reach out to the Justice Coalition. A friend of mine put me in touch with the board member who put me in touch with the organization. And from there, just as Robert described, they walked me through the whole process. And, I had no idea what to expect. I never even got anything more than a ticket. I didn't know my way in and out of the justice system, but they told me everything to expect. They told me, you have to be patient. These things take a long time. The wheels of justice grind slowly. But over the course of the next 3 years, they were there for me and my wife countless times. I don't even know, 30 or more court appearances as these other accomplices were brought to justice. And the first thing they did when they brought me in the office was everybody gathered around and prayed with us and gave us a sense of calm that we had lacked up to that point. And they set us up with victims' compensation and helped us in so many ways I can't even begin to describe it all. But we would have been lost without the Justice Coalition walking us through that process.
Yeah, because I don't think that people realize it. So the crime happens, and then you as a victim, for example, you want to go to the court hearings. You might need to testify. You have to miss work if you're working, but the bills still have to get paid, right? And you may have to take time off. But there are resources then that Justice Coalition can help link you with, which can help take that part of the stress kind of off your mind so that you can focus on this? Because that must have been so devastating for you and your wife. Oh my gosh.
There's nothing in my life that
Particularly
compared to
because
it.
you were forced to defend yourself and kill someone in your own home.
Well, we didn't set out to do it that morning, obviously.
Of course not,
And, you know, we were both stove up after that. My wife had severe injuries. I had pretty serious injuries. One of the attacker's bullets had hit me in the head. So we weren't able to work, so we got help with groceries and home repairs and just the little things that you don't think about. That you know, when you see someone's been the victim of violent crime on TV, you don't think about how it's going to impact their life every day going forward forever.
Yeah, it sticks with you forever. And it's interesting, years ago, so Ted Hires, as we know, in 1995 started Justice Coalition. And I remember interviewing and sitting beside Ted many times as I was covering cases for Channel 4, you know, and covering it through the court system. And Ted's whole point was, when he started this, he was a business owner, he owned a restaurant, he'd been the victim of crime, you know, like 8 times. People had broken into the restaurant. One of the times he and an employee were attacked. But his point was, there was nothing in the system that really gave a voice, Robert, to the victim.
Victims, exactly. And that's one of the things that we like to do. Is, in fact, part of the reason for me inviting Foster to be here this morning, because nobody can tell the victim's story better than the victim can if they're willing to tell it. And in his case, well, you know, his is unique in the fact that here's an everyday citizen working hard to support his family in a good neighborhood, in a good home, and he was attacked where we all want to be safe. He was in his home, where we all count that as our sanctuary. And this is why, you know, Foster, I really like for him to tell his side of things, because it's different, you know. So.
Well, and it makes you realize, we hope that nothing like this ever happens to us, but to know what's there if it is, that, you know, if this does happen and where we can turn for that. We've run out of time. I appreciate both of you tremendously. I do, yes. First of all, Justice Coalition relies heavily on donations and support. You've now been able to print the Victims Advocate, which is a newspaper that I know that I've been reading for forever, and now it's back. How can people help, very quickly, Robert, how can people help the Justice Coalition?
You can go to our website, you can volunteer, you can go to our website if you want to make a donation, choose to do that. You can contact us, or you can volunteer for help. We always need help in going to court, we always need help in the office. Anything that you can do.
Volunteers with a kind heart, right? Who understands.
Kind heart, and also, you know, spread the word. Tell your friends that we're still here. We're still doing what we've been doing for 30 years. And,
Justice Coalition, 904-629-2779. You can call them,
that's
donate,
my cell phone.
That's, oh no, oh no. Okay, I'm going to get the right number.
783-6312, 904-783-6312.
Please don't call Robert's cell phone. I'm going to get the right number and make sure that we post it to this story at news4jax.com. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
And thank you for joining us for the 10 a.m. News4JAX Plus. We'll see you tomorrow.